Welcome to The Sensitive Warrior, where feeling everything is your superpower. Join me as we dive into an exciting and uplifting podcast that celebrates the unique strengths of highly sensitive people. Hi, I'm Doreen Lang, author of Embracing Venus, Achieve a Life Lit Up for Highly Sensitive People, and this is my beautiful book here to share with you. I'm also a coach committed to helping highly sensitive people thrive. I'm excited to welcome my guest today, Phyllis Simonetta. Her gift is to alchemize inner chaos to inner peace. In addition to offering Reiki and heal through dance sessions and light language readings, I understand that you have begun facilitating lightning classes. And I want to hear more about these wonderful offerings. Before we begin, though, I want to just take us through how being a highly sensitive person presented itself to you, and how has that affected your life?
Well, first of all, I didn't know for most of my life that I was a highly sensitive person. And in fact, I wish I had your book decades ago. It would have been really helpful to my journey, because as I was reading it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that really makes sense. So I always knew that I was sensitive, but I didn't know that it was a thing. So I didn't have context or language or words or anything to put around it. I knew that I got overwhelmed easily, and I knew that big crowds were too much for me. And I knew that, like in my early days of teaching in public schools, I would go home and I would be like buzzing with energy and not know what to do with it. And I just didn't understand that I was just like wide open.
And what did you do with it then? Because you taught school for how long?
Yeah, so I taught school for off and on for a couple decades. It started with childcare, and then it was public school, and then I was a Montessori teacher. I honestly don't remember what I did.
Wow.
I think I just tried to cope.
Yeah.
Without any particular skills.
Yeah, makes sense.
I just didn't really know. And then when my daughters were younger, they were also highly sensitive, and I didn't understand that. So that was part of my understanding, because we fed off of each other. Mm-hmm. And so it was just emotional chaos in my house. And it wasn't until I started to understand and start on my journey that I shifted the whole vibration of my house by understanding. And of course, I still at that time didn't have the term highly sensitive person, right, but I was like diving into my own personal work. So it really affected me. I would tell the doctors I was tired, and I would not get any kind of like validation for that. Like, I just didn't know. Like I said, I wish I had your book.
Yeah, no, thank you. I wish you did too. I wish I had my book then too, because I struggled since I can remember.
Yes.
So take us kind of fast forward a little bit. So you left teaching.
Yes.
And you really got wrapped around spirituality and growth, and you really found not only your happy place, and as my Reiki teacher, yes, I have so much respect for that transition, as well as you jumped in with both feet. This became your new reality, your new life. Yeah. But it's quite a jump. I mean, yeah, it's not corporate America teaching, clearly. Right. However, it's an institution, right, where you're told what to do, when and where, the schedule. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, right, yeah, now you're teaching Reiki sessions in a lower level of your home, right, and then opening up this business. Yeah. So kind of tell us about kind of that journey a little bit, because yeah, as a sensitive, and I promise I'm going to be quiet, but as a sensitive,
oh no, keep talking.
But as a sensitive, and I do want to share this with the viewers, is that change is hard, mm-hmm, and you're questioning yourself, and you ruminate. It's hard to make decisions because right, you're just tuned into so much. So right, how did you make that leap? And then how did you know it was right?
I was just surrounded by the right people and the right support system to really help me navigate life. So I thought, when I transitioned from being a public school teacher to a Montessori teacher, and there was a break in between, my girls were young, I thought I was going to be a Montessori teacher for the rest of my life. I loved the whole teaching aspect. I loved the concept of Montessori. And then in 2012, I had my spiritual awakening. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know. But when I was thinking about our interview today, I was like, how can I approach this and kind of just, explain it? And it was like my cup was so jammed with mud that I couldn't function anymore. And so all of the qualities that go with being highly sensitive just kind of came and stuck, and it was almost, this is kind of a little bit rough, but I say like the universe dropped a rock on my head. It was like, you can't do this anymore, you need to figure this out and understand. So in 2012 became my journey of discovering why I was feeling this way, why I was feeling overwhelmed, and why I was feeling stuck, and why the anxiety and depression like hit so hard.
So is that what it was?
That's what it was.
So it was an anxiety,
Yeah.
and depression came out of kind of sort of nowhere.
Yes. Yes, I did not see it coming. In hindsight, this was all divinely orchestrated and planned perfectly, but I didn't know at the time. I didn't understand what was happening to me. So that became my journey of how can I feel better? And in that journey, I learned, I was reintroduced to Reiki, and Reiki became a very huge part of me understanding more about myself and my awakening and my journey. And I still, even up until, honestly, probably until I read your book, I didn't quite understand the difference between being an empath and being highly sensitive. I didn't realize you could be one, you might have to help me remember. You can be highly sensitive and not an empath, or you can be highly sensitive and empath. Is that right?
You can be an HSP and an empath.
Yes, okay.
Absolutely. But the empath, of course, that spectrum, right, is the furthest.
Yeah.
And how we take on other people's energy. And is that?
Oh, yes. And I also learned that I'm an emotional empath. So it was, as I mentioned before, I surrounded myself with all the right people in my life. It wasn't a people issue. It was the emotions that I took on. And I didn't know that that's what I was doing. And that's why my cup got so jammed with mud, because I was constantly taking on other people's emotions without knowing it. So I had to get really good at distinguishing what was mine and what was not mine. And that became like years of a process. Like it wasn't just an overnight discovery. It was really navigating what was anxiety, what was not, healing the anxiety, healing the depression that went with that, and then taking that knowledge and saying, okay, that is not what's going on. What's actually going on is, I am feeling everything like a raw open wound,
Right,
that's a lot.
So let me ask you a question about this. As parents, I know you have 2 girls, and I have a son and a daughter. Interesting, isn't it? When you're going through this kind of awakening, you're waking up to, wow, this is really intense, the feelings. But it's a journey of challenges, isn't it? Because with our kids, if there's something that isn't right, or if they're sick, just basic stuff, you're there. Like you're not, okay, they'll be fine. They have no temperature, but all of a sudden, it's just everything is on high alert, right? And that continues, doesn't it?
It doesn't ever stop.
It doesn't ever stop. And I think my challenge, in the beginning when I started Reiki, again, thanks to you, when I started Reiki and opened my Blossom Healing Studio, I'll be very honest with you. When I was giving Reiki in between clients, I would sometimes have to lay on the floor because I was exhausted.
Yes.
But as a highly sensitive, that's your challenge, right? Yes. You have to manage your symptoms while you're helping other people.
Yes.
And people do this. Nurses do it. Doctors do it, right?
Yeah.
But the work you're doing now. Talk about the work you're doing now and what you're doing, and then as highly sensitive, how that's a huge skill of yours, and also the challenge that goes with it. So people can feel like, I'm CEO or I'm doing this or that, but I'm exhausted at the end of the day. I got to give myself a break here.
Right.
Maybe I have to take the morning off.
Right.
Maybe I just do.
Right.
Because I gave 150%. Most people don't anyways.
Right.
So tomorrow I'm going to just go easier on myself.
Right.
So how do you do that with your energy-based work?
Oh, let me see. A lot of ideas filtering through my head right now. One of the things that I'm starting to incorporate into all the courses that I teach is how to alchemize that inner chaos to inner peace, because I've realized that peace is really what we're seeking. And when we're highly sensitive, we're not feeling that peace because we're feeling everything. So how can we get to that place of peace? So through the years, I've had many different opportunities and ways to figure out how to manage my own energy, and that's what I'm beginning to teach people and what I'm beginning to incorporate. So what I mean is, what do I mean? There are different strategies to keep your own energy in check and to know what's yours and what's not. And we are responsible for our own energy. It's not anybody else's business to take care of our own energy.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and so actually this isn't answering your question directly, but it's what's coming in. right now is when I had to distinguish in social situations what was once social anxiety and what was healed with that, why I was still going into a situation, still feeling the feels that I felt in my gut going, oh my gosh, is it time to go home yet? I had to come up with ways to be like, okay, Phyllis, you can work through this. Let's reframe this. What's the situation? What's going on? Is there anything to be afraid of? No, there isn't anything to be afraid of. I would have to talk my ego down, which is a big part of the Holy Fire system of Reiki, is healing the unhealed ego, which can go along with the fear, which can go along with being highly sensitive because it taps into all of the emotions, the being an emotional empath. And really assessing the situation and breathing. Breathing and knowing what barriers I needed to put up to not take on. So, whereas I mentioned I had, it wasn't a people issue, it was an energetic issue. I had to, every time I up-leveled in my energy, I had to come up with a new strategy for setting the boundaries. I guess that's the word that I'm really trying to get to, and what I also want to help people understand is the boundaries that we set need to be energetic, because I would have not only people's energies coming to me that were right here, but I would have other energies just filtering into me and try to and just be with me, and it was just it was overload. So I really had to put my Reiki on, activate the Reiki from within, because Reiki was huge in helping me get to this place. Yeah. I think of Reiki being like the crust of a pie that holds all of the other ingredients, and when you have that really good foundation, then you can grow from there. So I don't know. I know I didn't answer your question exactly.
No, you did. You always answer so colorfully.
In a roundabout circular way.
I love that. But what I find interesting, and I bet you will too, with working with my clients, is highly sensitive people and empaths especially, but highly sensitives really value relationships, right? Relationships are so important. Yes. And if they don't get the right vibe, the right energy from someone, they know immediately. Especially the intuitives. They just know immediately if the energy is right. Yes. They want to be part of that person's environment in their world, right? Yes. But what I find is interesting is HSPs, they care so much about that relationship that they often don't see that the relationship should, almost like a chapter, almost like a season, should potentially come and then go for their own mental health. Right. But they don't do that. If things aren't working, they kind of try harder, or they force themselves. And when sometimes, and it sounds sad, and I might sound so black and white here, but I've had to do this. I've had to let other people go and just kindly, with an open heart, but move on, right? Because energetically, you can only deal with so much, and of the good energy that you're getting from people, right? So do you find that, because with my clients, I'm always helping them look at boundaries. Yeah. The boundaries people set for them, the boundaries that we try to set for ourselves. Do you find that with the work that you're doing, people they come to you with one thing, but that's deep down also what they're looking for is help with that?
I haven't gotten to that point yet, probably because I generally teach classes and courses. I haven't been seeing as many individual people. It's a broader, people come to me for my other services. I know I can speak personally to that, and it was something that I remembered right before we were sitting down to talk, so I feel like it feels like it's a lead into an example of what you were doing. I remember before I was awakened to being a highly sensitive person, I had a friend, and she was a good person, but every time we got together, and this is before I understood about energy vampires, it would suck the life out of me, and I would be so sick, and I wouldn't understand, and it was like the most extreme example I've ever experienced. But I would go back and try again, because I was also a people pleaser at the time, because I didn't understand about the energetic boundaries, and I know that also goes with being a highly sensitive person. So I just kept trying and trying, and finally, ironically, the situation was that I ended up moving, and I was able to lose contact with this person. This person was a good person. It wasn't anything, but it was too much of an energy drain. So I remember that as my extreme example in this life, and I do my best not to get in that situation. And if I'm headed in that way, I just kind of filter my way back out and let that relationship slide.
Yeah.
And just surround myself with the people who I know I feel really comfortable with.
Yeah.
Such as yourself.
Awesome. Do you think people that are highly sensitive now were highly sensitive in their previous life?
Yes. I'm sorry, I was just about to have light language come out. I do. I'm actually right now thinking that it is probably, because I see it as a gift, it is probably one of their gifts.
I love that.
That they are bringing through, that they're tapping into. I can speak to that also as far as the clairsentience and being an emotional empath. Is the clairsentience where you feel everything? That is the superpower. And this is probably what's going to wrap back around to the question that you asked earlier. That's what I want my clients and my students to understand, is that the feeling, your intuition, bottom line, everything. Use that as a superpower.
That is your compass. Just
Yes.
hold on to that. Hold on to that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I know just a minute ago you were going to, yeah.
Yeah, it was just
You're going to give us your light language.
I was.
I don't see why you would want to hold that back. That is
All right,
that's really fascinating. So you're all in for an incredible treat here. So hang on to your chairs. If your seatbelt, put it on.
I didn't know if we were going to do that in this session.
If it feels right, I really want people to know you and to see all your incredible gifts as an HSP. And before you get going on it, I want viewers to know that this is what I meant in my first show, where you think you know all about you, but the layers are incredible. And you're going to continue to find them if you keep your eyes open and your mind open. So with any luck, Phyllis will give us a little piece of her side, another dimension of her, which is absolutely fascinating.
I can pop that in at the end.
Yeah, so whenever the spirit moves you,
Okay.
whenever the spirit moves you. Yeah, I know. So, I know you do work a lot with, one of the things is healing through dance.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that. And, as far as highly sensitives, I'm sure there's some people in your class that are and some that are not. But maybe talk how it helped you.
Yes. Well, I knew that I'm a very moving person. I'm a moving meditator. I'm not really a sit down for a real long time and get quiet. I get sometimes I have what I call my tea meditation, but with the dance really helps bring me into my body. And so I know what I've experienced as a highly sensitive person and as an empath is if something gets overwhelming, my spirit wants to just kind of go somewhere else. And that doesn't feel good in my body. We also need to deal with our emotions. That's part of being human. We're here. So the heal through dance, not only the lineage that I'm connected to, not only grounds you in the here and the now, it helps you process those emotions. And when you process those emotions and let them somatically release through your body, then you're not going to get as much, you're going to release the mud in your body, just going back to what I said before. Yeah. So it's not only expressive, and so it's like it's ecstatic dance in that it helps you get unstuck so that you're not keeping everybody else's stuff in you. It's somatic in that it releases through the body, and then it's also freeform, which means you get to decide how you want to move. So it's very, very therapeutic. I would venture to guarantee that most of the people that find me for dance are highly sensitive people because I know that they feel phenomenal. I bring in all my energies. It's like instead of being on a Reiki table, lying there nice and still, which is awesome, has its place. This is healing in motion is also what I call it. It's very freeing, and then it's very freeing, and it all goes together. I'm trying to figure out how to put all of the things that I do into one package to help people process emotions, go to the next level, really claim who they are as a sovereign being of light, I guess. Embrace your light. That's my little tagline.
Yeah, I love that, though. I love that. The dancing is so interesting. When I was young, I took ballet for I think it was 8 years, and I was just loved it. But it was so rigid, right? So the format and the steps. But this is the opposite.
Total opposite.
Right?
Total
so
opposite.
People come and they want to feel safe.
Yes.
They're a little nervous, right?
Yes.
But it's all about being free and feeling free.
It is.
Right?
It is. And it's so free that you can, and the free form part, you can dance any way you want. if you want to sit down during a song and just kind of move your head back and forth, you can do that. There's no structure. When I took dance when I was younger too, I liked it. I didn't love it. What I realized what I didn't like is I couldn't follow the choreography. But if I went to a wedding or I went out to a club, I could dance like there was no tomorrow. I had no idea that that's a beautiful place for that, which is called ecstatic dance, somatic dance, heal through dance, and you can just let it go. And I would always feel so much better when I did dance. No idea that I would be also facilitating somatic dance experiences as part of the...
And people, a client asked me what it was the other day. They said, what does somatic mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, the short version is it's a release through the body. It's stepping out of the thinking mind and letting it come out, letting whatever needs to come out through the body. Our bodies hold the stories and our cells hold the memories. To me, our soul is the hard drive of everything.
Could you repeat that?
Yes. Our bodies hold our stories, our cells hold our memories. And for me, our soul is the hard drive to everything that is us. And so many of us, this is not our first rodeo in this lifetime. So we have things that come up, and then the expression of dance helps it release through the body, and I found it to be a shortcut. This does not take the place, obviously, of, you know, any other therapy. It's in addition to, and it's another avenue for people such as me who can't sit still.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's fun. And you know, I create playlists, and I love it. It goes through the chakras and the elements. It's really thought out. It's like if you're familiar with yoga, starts off slow, and then it kind of heats up, and then you end up in Shavasana. Then, very same thing, just with dance, and it's free form. And I give prompts. But my prompts aren't, you know, move 2 steps to the left. My prompts are,
right.
you know, open your arms and let them become your wings and fly. Like that's more of an emotional,
right,
you know, or bring circles into your movement and let things flow, something like that.
And how do you see the results of the release of this emotion for people?
There's tears. Sometimes there's laughter. Sometimes most people just have this profound sense of peace. You can have any experience with it, and it's totally okay, whatever you have. Mm-hmm. You know, there's always a box of tissues nearby, and I let people know I'm never going to walk up to you with a tissue. I think of tissues as the antibiotics to the soul, and our tears are healing. So whatever experience they have is completely theirs. Kind of like in the Reiki classes, when we have the Reiki healing experiences that are unique to the Holy Fire system. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their own experience, and it's absolutely perfect for them.
Right, right. I remember it so well. Yeah. I remember sitting with you while you were facilitating, and there was one gentleman who I thought he was sleeping, which is fine.
Right.
Right. But because he was so relaxed, and then right. I had gone into such a wonderful deep meditation. Mm-hmm. It was awe-inspiring, and I wrote about it in my book because it just was so touching. And then there was another woman who I just, you know, she really wasn't getting it, and I remember thinking, this is so much of a partnership. It's so much of a partnership to work with people. They have to really show up. So, you know, when people come to this dance that you're facilitating, they've got to really be in it.
They do, because there's a vulnerability. Sometimes people hear the word dance and it's a little bit like, oh, wait a minute, and they have an idea around it. So I thought about changing the word dance, but it is dance. It's your dance. It's your personal dance. You know, it's you embodying you.
Right.
You know?
Right. So tell us about the newest, Lightning.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes, it's pretty wild. So Lightning is here for peace on earth. It is an energy that my soul has been connected to before. It is connected to the continent of Lemuria, which some people may be familiar with. There's an energy that goes with Lemuria that seems to be surfacing right now. And this particular energy has a symbol, and it's still new. Mm-hmm. And so there's still a lot to be learned. But what I've learned is that everyone that connects with the energy is part of the understanding. So the more people that connect with it, the more the energy spreads, and the more that we know, and the stronger it anchors itself here. It's not just for people, it's for nature. It's for our ancestors and the living and the non-living. It's for the animals. It's
So when you say lightning, people picture
Right.
a lightning rod,
Right.
right? But you're talking vibrational.
Yes, thank you for that clarification.
Okay.
I'm not sending lightning bolts to anybody.
That's great. But it must be that profound and that direct,
Yes.
that pinpointed.
Yes. So I guess it is like a lightning bolt in that it comes in, but it's gentle and it's meant to work with you to develop whatever you need to have developed that's going to bring general peace on earth, which I know is very, one of the things that I learned recently, that the vibration of peace is actually higher than the vibration of love and joy, which I had to do a lot of research when this energy came to me. This energy came to me in January 2024, and it took 4 months for it to integrate in my body, for me to understand enough. And after 4 months, this energy, which is a frequency and a consciousness, was basically said, you know enough to start getting this out there. I'm like, oh, I do? Okay, that's great. Thank you. I'll run with that.
You'll just, you got it whispered in your ear.
I did, yes, totally whispered.
But so repeat that again about the energy with peace, with love, because I want people to really hear that.
The vibration.
Vibration
Oh,
level.
yes. So in my research, I came across, I hope I say it right. I think it's David R. Hawkins has there's a chart. I think it's from his book, Power versus Force, which I didn't read. I just came across it in my Google search. Every emotion has a vibration. And this is not to say that any emotion is bad. I don't think of it that way. Every emotion has its purpose, but there's a hierarchy. And the higher you go, the higher the vibration, the frequency. And so I believe it's joy, love, peace, and then enlightenment. And it blew me away that peace was right underneath enlightenment and above love and joy. And then in my research of this is how I understood that my whole journey from 2012 till now has been about how to alchemize inner chaos to inner peace and help people really show up. So I call the people who have been connected with lightning so far my peace pioneers, because they are part of this energy that was here once upon a time, but now back in this time and space continuum, and that's a whole class on lightning. Yeah, I don't know.
But I love that. I love that, because, it's so interesting. People want to have love in their life.
Yes.
They want to have happiness and joy,
Yes.
But we're also really seeking from that,
Yes.
we're seeking this peace.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Peace is like the 0 point. It's the still point. If you come from a place of peace, then you can respond instead of react. You can make clearer decisions. You are in a space of knowing that you are safe. So I'm like, oh, it was so profound to me.
And I think that's why you and I probably love Reiki so much.
Yes.
Is because in my studio, my goal is to get people, whether it's conversations, whether it's sitting, whether I'm gently touching their shoulder, whether it's a whole Reiki session, is to get them to that 0 point of peace.
Yes.
Because from there, and I call it like the pizza slice, you can get that little piece of that great wisdom that comes on because all that clutter's gone.
Yes.
And as you say, the mud.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's the peace.
Exactly. And the Reiki we're connected to is called World Peace, Holy Fire 3 Reiki.
Right.
No
coincidence.
Right. No coincidence at all. And peace has to start with us. It's inner peace first, and then we can share that peace. And I think that's where it goes from like the Reiki to the lightning and everything that I do in between.
So cool.
I know.
As my best friend when I was little used to say, cool beans.
Yeah, I love that expression.
Yeah,
That's
great. I haven't said that in so long, but you did make me just remember her.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And then the light language, which I do have a little transmission for our
please,
our peeps. And for those of you who are new to light language, it is multidimensional communication. It sounds like I'm speaking another language because I am.
And I'm glad it's going to be fast because I'm running out of time.
I know, that's why it would be like the last
go
30 seconds. All right, this is just a little taste, and you don't have to know what it says. You're not supposed to know what it says. And this is a little transmission for peace, since we're talking about peace. Se totoriana aya totoriara kirshantaria asonotoriana asonotoria ashanatariariki isinikira shanatariara asonotoriariki sonotoriariki sonotoriariki ishinakira sonotoriariki sonotoria. We spread the peace in everything we do. We spread the peace from our heart and extend it out into the world. Shadotoriariki sanataria isinikira shanata yerikoro sonotoriariki.
Wow. I can't even follow that.
Sorry.
Thank you for
You're
coming in.
welcome.
This is always so fascinating to talk to you.
I know. Have me back again. This is delightful.
Yeah, our next episode will be with Tony LaGreca. Our next episode, he's the owner of WMEX. He's an HSP. It's going to be fabulous to hear from him, an older gentleman who has so much wisdom and knowledge. If you're ready to embrace your sensitivity, reach out to me at Doreen@blossomhealingstudio.com. And if you're interested in hearing more from Phyllis, reach out to me at Doreen@blossomhealingstudio.com, and I will connect you up. Thank you so much. Until next time, feeling everything is your superpower. Embrace it and make it work for you.